WuSA, wake up South Africa. You've been sleeping far too long. Wake up South Africa. Now come along and sing this song. Wake up South Africa.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Sanwanani Dumela, Molweni, and welcome to another Sunday morning inspiration session. I'll be your host for today. My name is WuSA, and I'm so happy to have all of you here with us today. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Right. So good morning, everyone. Wake up, South Africa. I should be up by now. For me, it's 6 o'clock morning, and I'm very honored to be here. Now, the interesting subject is Bhakti and what do you call it? The internet edge. So it's in one sense new, another sense not new, except that we have to do everything mechanically nowadays. We hear previously how gurus and students could communicate across long distances by telepathy, we call it modern day. They didn't need the internet though, and they didn't need the computers and Zoom and all these things. We hear how Sukadeva Swami could speak to many thousands of sages, and they didn't even have, amplifiers or brought, loudspeakers. But everyone could hear. So now, by the grace of Kali Yuga, we can also do that. So the important thing about this is to take advantage of this facility, because like anything, it can be misused. The material world is full of distractions anyway. Attractions and our distractions. Krishna is the most attractive, but there's so many things which are attractive to the senses, but they're distractions from our real purpose is to remember Krishna. So this is a very nice use. I'm calling it now the Zoom boom. My generation in America, we were called the kids of the baby boom. My father was gone quite a few years, World War II, and so many were. In those days, the wife would wait patiently for hopefully that the husband would come back. And so they all came back around, the same time. And so all of a sudden, in the years at 46, 47, 48, so many babies were born in America. And then it became, America was, so-called on top of the world. They won the war. They had upgraded their industrial society like unlimitedly. And they were, charitable to very much, helping the countries that have been defeated, even the countries they defeated. And we got, almost everybody got a decent education. Everyone could go to university. Everybody had their own house and cars and all. So then we weren't satisfied. Unfortunately, Prabhupada showed up just in time. And without internet, Prabhupada managed to spread this Krishna consciousness worldwide in a very short time. The internet, we found, is very good for sharing information. And so devotees are doing that in so many ways, sometimes very innovative and creative ways. So many things are going on that are really helpful, because many of us, we don't live near a temple, or because of our work schedules or whatever it is, we can't go to the temple during the time when things are happening there. But with the internet, I saw even many years ago, I was staying in one house in London, and he had to leave to open up his shop at 6:30 in the morning. And he would get home in the evening, and then he would go to Mangalartik in Los Angeles, something like that, because he couldn't go to Mangalartik in London. So that is an advantage of the internet. Now, it can be a disadvantage because devotees may avoid, actually going out, taking the trouble to physically be with each other, which is a different experience than just this. I see some of you have your cameras on. Many times we're doing these Zoom classes and nobody turns on their camera. Many don't even put their picture. They just have a name here. So, it's some can be impersonal, but it's also can be more personal. Zoom, normally when we hear Zoom, it used to mean like going very, very fast. I think in the comic books, if something's going very fast, it would have a big zoom, right? But now, normally we think of zoom lens on the camera. And I see people, I would see, especially in Japan, these old men, they're bird watchers, and they have these lenses like this long, and they're trying to see some birds like really far away. So you can zoom up, you can get close, even though you're far away, which can be an advantage. One of our friends in Nigeria, Charlie Boy, I don't know if he's famous in South Africa, quite well known in West Africa. He had a TV show called Zoom Time, and he was interviewing different politicians and getting up close and trying to reveal what's really going on. But so now we have this Zoom, it's a clever name for this video conferencing. So we can get close, and it can be used in so many very wonderful ways for practicing bhakti. Lokanath Swami had a japa time where 1,000 devotees joined. I think that's the limit, how many can come on the Zoom, but and we can have conferences. We just had one in Indonesia. I don't know how many were on the Zoom, but so many were on Facebook. We have this Wisdom of the Sages, devotees in New York, and they started out with 5 or 6 people, and they had a Bhagavatam class in the morning. And then Raghunath, who was quite famous guy in America and Europe in the punk rock scene, the hardcore and shelter band, and other bands. And he got on some talk show, internet talk show, very famous one. And then now they have 10,000. They have so many people on their Zoom and Facebook, YouTube. I don't know how many different things, if they're really smart, these young people, they can get it up on so many platforms at the same time and connect with 10,000 or even more. We just had a conference in Indonesia. You had some confusion there with the local brahmanas and, not misunderstandings between devotees and them. And they brought this Radha Raman Prabhu, Professor Ravi Gupta, and he discussed so brilliantly, and it was fascinating. And now it's only 1 week and there's been 100,000 views already. So this is something that, we could never do otherwise. Prabhupada's association could be shared very widely because of his books, and that's very good. But even the internet has helped to distribute books. Some devotees distribute so many books just online advertising. Also, they can read the books online, all with this internet. So we just request, I was at one seminar, one class, and one Mataji, she's in charge of the Facebook page of the Juhu temple in Bombay. And I have never looked at it, but they were number 5 in the world of Facebook for likes. That means so many devotees are, just going on there. They see classes, they get the darshan, so many things are available. And she said every devotee should have their own Facebook. And nowadays, Facebook is getting, I heard that, the young people say, well, that's for our parents, that there's so many others now. And some of them you have to be very clever because you only get 1 minute or, 30 seconds or something. But like on, what is it, Instagram, they have Reel, REEL. And now if you're on Instagram, you'll see a lot of Jaipataka Maharaj. He has many disciples who are tech savvy. And I don't know if they're just clipping out of lectures or they're asking them questions, but the Reel is only 1 minute. But it gives a very strong statement. It's very nice. And so, and that Reel is connected to, I heard, so many things. So it gets broadcasted to so many people. The New York City Harinam Party, they have some kirtans that they broadcast from the park, and they've had 1 million views, 1.8 million views, So this is spreading the holy name like never before, Then we had to think how to catch people who are serious about it, bring them together in smaller groups. And that's going on also. Now they got this thing called podcast. I don't know why podcast is anything special. It sounds good though, but it's very, very popular. And it's usually just an interview with, interesting people. And many of them got started just because of this epidemic or whatever it is, where we weren't allowed in some countries to go to the temple, to meet together, even go outside. Some countries really locked everybody in their house. You can't go outside except for grocery shopping or something, and only for 30 minutes or whatever. but this way they're able to, like now, for me previously to go to South Africa was quite a big endeavor. Many long flights and all the things that is involved with that, all the money, all the physical wear and tear. But now, by internet, we can go anywhere. And even it's online. So people from not only South Africa, but anybody who has the slightest interest in waking up South Africa or waking up themselves, Jiva, Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. So we can, I don't know how many kirtans on the internet by every, famous or whatever kirtan singers, and others also live Harinam, and it's catching people like anything. It's making people appreciate. People are very happy to hear that, we have going out every day in New York in the park, and when you tell people, well, this is online every day, it's broadcast live. And they're really happy to hear that because they can't come out every day at the right time. And then they just know they can tune in whenever they want. So it's a great advantage, and nobody should think, well, I'm not qualified. Anybody can just go on and make whatever one of the, things you really like. If it's Instagram or live or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter, we see many devotees use all these things in very nice ways, and especially these little Twitters and TikToks that are very short. And Kali Yuga, attention span of people is very short. So if we do these quick things, we have to be clever. I'm trying to, it's not easy, but we're used to more long classes or whatever. Some people like the long seminars, the long interviews. So we have our Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, the genius spiritual scientist, has his podcast, and he interviews so many devotees, very, very smart about digging out the questions and bringing out the issues of the day. There's another really good one, the Wisdom of the Sages, that's Raghunath and Kostuba in New York, and you probably have some in Africa. I see WuSA giving class every day, and I think he does some other things. And his classes are, it looks to me anyway, he's picking up, subjects that people are interested in. What's on the mind of the devotees and the public, what they want to hear. Everybody wants to hear about Krishna, but they don't really know we have to present Krishna in so many different ways. There's another podcast that has some very, very interesting, I'm going to ask him to get WuSA on there, is Namaras Prabhu with the late morning program. And he covers a broad range of people and quite educational about very high scholastic things. Many devotees are, quite studious and deeply studying all the teachings of Bhakti Vinod Thakur and how they're all coming from Jiva Goswami and things like that, the common people don't know. People that are starting their own communities with slightly different, structures and emphases in the old style temples where it's, surrender or else, trying to be more personal. The internet can help us to be much more personal, can help us to be impersonal also. And we want to be more personal. So we want to use it to come together really come together and talk to each other. And we found, like everywhere, that in Japan, Tokyo, the temples in Tokyo, and Tokyo is a huge city. So even if you live in so-called Tokyo, it can take you an hour to get to the temple, or an hour and a half, and by subway, and or by traffic. You never have any idea how long it's going to take. And so it's hard for people to set aside 5 hours to go to the temple, hear the class, and go home again, or go to work. So, but they tuning in online, people are in their car, they're on the train, or riding their bicycle, and somehow they can come to class. So this is an amazing thing. And not only devotees that live in Tokyo, devotees that live all over the country, devotees in other countries come that speak the language. And this is happening, everywhere. One of our boys in Ghana, again, a Chuck Schuss, I don't know if anybody's following him. He has a thing called Transformations. It's on Facebook. I don't know, he's all over the place. He started out on the radio. At that time in Ghana, there wasn't so much internet, or very, very expensive and very unreliable. But he was getting on the local radio and speaking the local language. He had some friends with radio stations. They would give him time. He was not encouraged by any devotees, as usual. He was discouraged by many, but he just kept going. But somehow that radio reaches all over the world. There's Ghanaian people everywhere. They want to hear their own language. And now he's organized this thing called Transformations. He has groups all over the world, all very organized, and he's putting up his thoughts for the day every day on Facebook and other things. And many of them are kind of restatements of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes he directly puts up quotes from other famous people. And he's got such a huge following, even from the radio. But then when the internet comes along, then it's like really phenomenal. And I hope many devotees will tune in or talk to him and, try to do the same thing in their languages, in their countries. It's things we talk about a lot in organizational meetings. Not so many are doing it. It's kind of a Varnashram thing where people really get together. They're united. They have a bank account, different ones, separate ones in different places, so they can help each other if somebody comes into need. And it's all, he can keep in touch with everybody, through the internet, through Zoom meetings. And then whenever facility is available, he travels to meet with these people. So these are just some of the things that are going on. And it's opened up, unlimited opportunities that we never could have imagined some time ago. Because you can make public broadcast and it doesn't cost anything. Practically everybody already has some kind of device which can get online, and everybody's already online anyway, whatever way they are. Somehow or they're connected if they have Wi-Fi or no. Many countries we have public hotspots everywhere. You can just get online. And restaurants, I'm sure South Africa is advanced in that way. America, Japan, you just go in any restaurant and you can get online. And you can listen to whatever you want. Or if you find a quiet corner, you can preach. So, this is what we can go on and on and on. And it spreads like we have our, what is it called? ISKCON Desire Tree. And one devotee started that online. He's actually a surgeon in our hospital there in Bombay, but he's a big, big preacher. I was at his house. He had 7 computers with devotees all day working, creating all kinds of things to put up on this webpage. Things for children, things for everybody, movies. I think now he has like 30 devotees just editing movies. And when I met them 3 years ago, they had something like 500,000 minutes of video downloaded every day. It's all Krishna conscious stuff. At that time, they just got their award from YouTube that they had 100,000 followers. But by the time the award came to their hand, they had 220,000 followers. Now it must be way more than 1 million. We have this Gaur Gopal, and he's from Bombay also. He's just like super popular all over the world with his indirect Krishna conscious things. He's more like trying to introduce people and bring them up to, the mode of goodness and understanding life a little bit. But he's very, very entertaining. But, he can get a crowd of a few hundred different places, but online, he gets thousands. So many, many like that. I don't know all of them. In other countries, devotees, different languages. So, we can just start looking. And if all of you probably have used YouTube, so if you're listening to a kirtan, then along the side it'll say, these are other things you might like. Now, some of them will be devotees, some of them will be Mayavadis, some will be this and that. But about half of their followers come from that. They're actually online looking for Sai Baba or looking for Ravi Shankar or looking for Sadhguru or whoever, other things are out there. But then along the side, there's Hare Krishna things, and they check it out and they like it. Then they subscribe, and then they start getting, flooded with Hare Krishna things, and they become devotees from all over the world. So I can, I don't know all the examples. I hope you know more, but I'll maybe slow down for a minute and get some comments or questions from our wide awake South Africans. Thank Sabyasachi Prabhu. I was with him in Bali when he created this Wake Up South Africa campaign, and he was up all night, so many nights, giving classes and designing and, pushing the other leaders of the country, so-called leaders. And we see it's very effective and spreading like anything. So we need to wake up the whole world. That's Lord Chaitanya's message, Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago. Gaura Chandra Bole. Lord Chaitanya is calling. When are you going to get out of Maya? When are you going to wake up and understand you're not this body and look for help for what you really are and how to utilize that knowledge to serve the Supreme Lord Krishna. So thank you very much. And I'd like to just take some questions. And usually this group has a lot of good questions. Okay.
Do you have any questions from the devotees? I see one question in the chat panel. It's a question or comment from Vafana Prabhu. He says, I've downloaded lots of reading from the ISKCON Desire Tree. Very nice place where wonderful association by the books of literature. So many questions are answered. Internet is so really helpful. So it's more than fun.
So that's just glorifying this kind of desire tree. It is a really wonderful thing. And they have classes from everybody in ISKCON that records classes and puts them online. They have kirtans, movies, all the books. Not only, they have also esoteric books or books of the Goswamis. You can find like unbelievable amount of things there. And they have a big staff, like over 30 devotees volunteering and working there on all this. And at the same time, he's a heart surgeon. He's a cancer surgeon, the director. Thank you.
Do you have any questions? I think we might just have to continue with the class because we don't see any questions at the moment.
I think we are able to unmute ourselves at the moment if you have something to say. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Okay, I'll take
Guy, have you? Glorious Prophet.
So wonderful to be with you. And just before my question, I'd like to tell the devotees that a lot of inspiration to go online has come in my life watching Kavicandra Maharaj. When we were in Bali together, Maharaj at some point was probably doing even like up to 6-7 classes sometimes a day. And even for the Bhagavatam, he'd come and, broadcast and put online. So it just really made me comfortable to sit before some camera and try to speak something about Krishna consciousness. So I just wanted to appreciate that. And I wanted to note, Maharaj made this one point about the Juhu temple, that at some point they were like number 5 or something for just likes. And the one thing I want to note is that actually if devotees can make it a service to like and share content that's created by devotees, even if it's not their own, it's a service on its own to just like things and share them. And I find that because the whole world is sort of has commodified this followers and liking and sharing, that if the devotees are using it just to, when you click it, I like Krishna and I like to share Krishna, as one meditation, anything to do with Krishna, then what it does is that we have in an international pool of people that can push the content into different spaces. And so that will help. That will help. Maharaj, finally, my question is then, devotees say to me, okay, I don't know what I can come online and say, because I don't know the philosophy very well. What advice would you give to such a devotee?
Well, then just go on and read Bhagavad Gita, which is, the most important thing anyway. We were discussing this in GBC, and Bear Krishna Maharaj is saying that whenever we read, we should just go online, and read out loud. And then we'll learn the philosophy. And actually, any devotee knows the philosophy. Prabhupada, this is a very wonderful thing. He said this was very early, way before internet. And just when the Los Angeles temple was starting, and there was a few devotees in some little house. So Prabhupada was with them, and it was Bhakti Siddhanta's parents' day or something, and Prabhupada was reading his letters from his devotees. And then he asked the devotees that were present, are you happy in Krishna consciousness? And of course, everybody, yes, yes, they were very happy. And then Prabhupada said, then I ask you one thing. You tell other people that you're happy chanting Hare Krishna, that you're happy, being a devotee. You don't have to know any philosophies, and you don't have to know anything. You just tell people that I like this. And I think you will like it also. And you show the book, and you say something about it, or you read from it. Anyone can do that. Right?
Yes.
And you can get a group together. That some people have very big reading groups, the japa groups, different devotees just get together and read together online. And it's very enlivening. It makes devotees, brings them together, It doesn't have to be long, 5 minutes, 1 minute, one sloka. Some of these internet things are designed for that, just for very quick. But it goes out to a lot of people, like these Instagram reel. Even if nobody's watching you when you do it, it gets out to many, many people somehow or other. And we'd always be surprised how many people have seen these things. All right, this is my hope. I'm trying to do more, but unfortunately, most of the ideas I get are when I'm walking down the road or something, and then I forget it by the time I get back. Sometimes I just stop and do it like right on the spot, but the devotees are digging in and, daily putting out messages for their followers. But all you have to do is just give one sloka. One sloka a day. You don't have to comment. Just read Prabhupada's purport.
We have a question from Atma Prabhu. Atma, you can be asked hand raised, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, let's hear it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, dear devotees, I'm not sure how audible I may be because I'm on the road. I don't know if it's quite clear.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I have more of a comment than a question. Particularly, I was listening where you were saying, Maharaj, that when devotees go online and they search something like kirtan or maybe a talk, then something may be suggested for them to take a look at, like maybe something that you may like for example, some kirtan, or you said some other content that may be like some Mayavadi stuff or something like that. So I wanted to talk about participating in the online era as a collective, as a devotee collective for the sake of visibility. I mean, I've been following closely, Maharaj, your classes, how you post online. I was also like quite chuffed to find you on TikTok. And I'm just thinking, just as how you can get anything suggested to you by the algorithm that is whatever managing the internet for whoever's benefit, but how do we then beat the algorithm to reach people who may not know anything about Krishna consciousness if we don't participate or if we don't get online as with that mission for visibility's sake? That's what I'd like to ask and comment on.
Well, it's a good question. I'm trying to think myself, but I was mentioning different people I know who are very successful in reaching out, getting a lot of people who are not necessarily devotees that are a little bit interested. Like if you look at this wisdom of the sages, they have a lot of things. I don't remember exactly, but they even have like a recovery group, something like Alcoholics Anonymous, because so many young people, they've had problems with drugs and things. They deal with a lot of people who are, someone's a devotee, but their husband isn't. And they're actually counseling people in all these ways, bringing people together, interviewing devotees who are trained in different fields, professional fields. And so they're attracting thousands of people to come and listen to, which is ostensibly a Srimad Bhagavatam class, but they're very down home and friendly, and it's definitely worth checking out and doing things that maybe can't do it in such a big way because you may not be so famous as Raghunath. He is very famous as a musician and leader of youth and everything. So people are quite interested in him. But they've just come up with so many ways of reaching people and, in so many different ways. And we can learn from the Christians are very expert. They make, web pages which have nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Yeah, I read about one guy, weight trainer or something, but then he gets people on there and they preach to him. They bring in the, whatever they're preaching. So, whatever devotee can do, it doesn't matter. You get even a couple of people because things grow. Can start out very small, and you don't know how many people are checking it out in other ways that you don't know about. So it's just, there's all these, I don't even know all the different, different social media. Sometimes I call it unsocial media. We need to counteract, like ISKCON Desire Tree, they did a whole series on how I came to Krishna consciousness and why I stay in Krishna consciousness, because they saw that a lot of people, whatever you want to call them, are online criticizing ISKCON, criticizing even Krishna. And sometimes they're very prominent. And in some countries, if you search Hare Krishna, you get those people first. So they wanted to overload, favorable things, so that there's so many favorable things that's what comes up when you search. And like Savya was saying, if you just go on and you see a devotee doing something nice, you put, I love it, and that goes down. If you make a little comment, it gets put up again. If you share it, then it gets to your group, whatever your group is. Personally, I do that a lot. I just, try to page through quickly. When I see a devotee do something really nice, I share it, because I have, I don't know, 10,000, not so many, but 10,000 followers or something. And so it gets out in that way to a lot of people beyond whatever that devotee had. And then somebody else and somebody else. And, it's a service. of preaching, even if you can't feel qualified to do anything yourself. You can share what someone else is doing that you think is good. You can make comments favorable, and that brings things more to the front, brings the Krishna conscious things more prominent. Okay.
We have another question that's very similar to the question that you've just answered from Admata Prabhu. It's a question from Namata Devidasi, and she asks, the internet is also a place where we can find a lot of misguided information about Krishna consciousness. How can we overcome problems that this creates? I think you've touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying. Many religions, I remember when the internet first really hit, and the Mormons and the Jehovah's, they were thinking, well, we can really preach. But they found out there was more people criticizing them than they were preaching. But we don't want to get on and argue with anybody. That if we see someone coming up on our thing, or making nasty comments, which on whatever we post, or many different things come in. Somebody puts up an article or pictures of somebody distributing many books, and somebody says, they're not the original books, blah, 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 blah. So you just block those people so that that they can't see what you do and you can't see what they do. It's very easy to just block them. You don't make any kind of comment, you don't counteract them, but it's like Prabhupada's example. If you have a glass of ink, if you keep pouring milk, the ink will come out and you'll have a glass of milk after a while. So we want to flood the cyberspace with positive things about Krishna consciousness. Try to make it really attractive. And anyone can do that, in whatever way we can. There are many devotees who are very, very clever, making little movies, making some really good movies. Or when they find something good, maybe subtitling it in their language, which can be very important in many countries. In English, like Prabhupada's lectures, there's so many, they're all online. And then there's this Vanipedia, they have a thing called Prabhupada Wisdom. And they've really geniusly listened to Prabhupada's lectures and find when he's speaking very strongly on a little subject, and they cut out 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and put that up separately with a provocative title. And those they have an online way of subtitling, and there's 1,500 of them, and they've been translated, all of them, into quite a few languages. So there's so many things we can do. The idea is just get as much stuff out there as possible to counteract to overpower, so that's what people find when they look for Krishna, when they look for Hare Krishna, when they look for ISKCON. They're going to find all these good things. That's what ISKCON Desire treated. There was a specific purpose, and many of they just went to Mayapur and they tried to interview every devotee they could find. How did you come to Krishna consciousness? Why are you staying in ISKCON like that? And they're very fascinating also to hear everybody's story, how they came to Krishna consciousness. Find out everybody, it's almost the same thing, but how they were in the Prabhupada's time, devotees had dropped out they didn't have any desire to be successful in the material world. And Prabhupada was able to pick them up. Now we find many people, you know, I had my master's degree, I had a good job, I was making a lot of money, and I was totally frustrated, and I was going nowhere fast. And, you know, the Indians, but I'd always heard of the demigods and this and that. And then I got Prabhupada's books, and then, you know, everything changes. And they might keep up their same social position, but they find how to make it useful. What is the real purpose of living and all that? So this is the main thing, is take advantage of this facility that anybody can just get online and do something whenever you want, you know. Even if you're just walking down the road and you get some realization, you can just click on and say it, you know. Everybody has their phone in their pocket or in their hand. And many devotees don't even put it in their pocket. It's always in their hand. All right. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, we have two more questions. One of which is a comment from Sunday Sachidabu or announcement. He says, we are having a reading of Prabhupada's books online program starting up soon. Please be in touch to get on the roster. Then we have another question from Tata Prabhu, who says, in the era of digital transformation requires disciplinary approach to the problem solving and innovative solutions for proliferation of cultural intelligence. Internet of Things, IoT, and the Internet of Everything, IoT, has amalgamated global communities in unfathomable ways to share love and happiness through the world. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, well, that's very good. That's a fact. There's no limit. If we take all the devotees we have in the world, which is a very big number, and everybody does something for 1 or 2 minutes a day, you know, it's a huge amount. So devotees get up with questions and answers. They get up with, you know, all kinds of different aspects of life. And, you know, we need to deal with everything people are doing. Like I said, these wisdom of the sages, they have their recovery. I don't know what they have other things like that also. And they deal with people's, you know, the difficulties they're having to practice Krishna consciousness. And, you know, people that are new and don't have much association, they're able to come on and associate with many, many devotees all at the same time. And we can learn from all these people. And it's quite educational. All right, so I think we're supposed to finish up, right? Savya, thank you very much again. And I hope we can never get together sometime again. It's going completely insane in the world.
Thank you so much.
This is why we
Thank
have
you
to
so much.
unite, because the demons, whoever it is, Kali Yuga, Kali means quarrel. So they're working very hard to get even everybody to be quarreling with everybody over a political party or a vaccination or no vaccination, or, you know, some kind of crazy thing to make people split up and fight with each other and disagree with each other. And we have to avoid that, you know, because it's such a distraction. We can waste our whole life disagreeing on things that have nothing to do with going back to Godhead, and just agree that we need to get the holy name out there. We need to get the Bhagavad Gita out there. We need to, you know, Bhagavatam, it's big projects, you know. Okay, so thank you very much, South Africa. And
Thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate
hope I
it.
can do it again. I'm still trying to think maybe go to Ghana and West Africa. but I haven't got my feet off the ground yet. I haven't got my body in the airplane yet, but it's a long ways. But I'm thinking to go there. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank
Hope
you
you
all so
see you
much.
again. Goranga.
Sure.